All right, we are 4 days away from the race. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, 4 days away from the race. And I wanted to highlight a workout I did last weekend, so not this Saturday, the Saturday before. And it was a variation of a longer hill workout. And I just wanted to share about my training plan a little bit leading up to the Vermont 100K. It's a little different than your typical build for a ultra, and I'm really excited because I think from what I understand about running mechanics that it makes sense to be able to train with more efficiency and then hopefully get into the race and be able to run with more efficiency, because if you're more efficient at the end of the race, right, you're going to be in a better place than the other people. I am 20 minutes into a 30-minute warm-up, moderate effort, getting the legs turning over, thinking about my legs, my arms, trying to push off my toes, like a mental warm-up and a physical warm-up. Finished the warm-up, 30 minutes, I just had a gel. I have tailwind in my water, so I'm trying to drink 2 soft flasks for this 2-hour run, so 50 grams from those. And now I'm about to do, I think it's, I have to look, 4 by 5 minute hill efforts. First 2 minutes are kind of like race pace, and then the second 3 minutes of the uphill segment are a bump up a little faster, kind of like my warm up. But I'm gonna descend, I get a little faster than race pace, keep hammering in the quads, and I'm gonna do this several times, you know, getting used to going up and down hills on dirt roads, because that's what the Vermont 100 is. So in general, my training plan has been a little faster than I think most training plans. There's definitely been more focus on my cadence, quick turnover, and the reason behind that is why I'm sharing this video. So I have taken, everything I'm going to share today is my sort of like understanding from a few different sources. I've taken a bunch of running certification courses from this woman, Chloe Lantier, who I talk about all the time, I feel like. And those were specific to mechanics, the run form, more from a physical therapy standpoint, how to rehab injuries, how to get the most out of bodies from a performance standpoint. But one of her key tenets of run economy is cadence, and she has a few others, but I'm going to let you find her and you can learn those from her. So everything I go over today is sort of my understanding of what I learned from her courses. And then also my coach, Sarah Kais, is being coached by her. And I think she's adopted some of the similar concepts because she's had such success with it. And so it's sort of like a filtered down version, and how I learned from Chloe, how I've sort of processed it in my head, and then that's how I'm sharing it with you today. But I do want to say she offers incredible courses online. Find her on Instagram. I'll tag her in the bottom. But I think the way she's been going about this and thinking about this is a little different again than mainstream, and I think it makes sense. So basically, economy, right? You want to be the most efficient you can. Cadence is one of the pieces that gives you that. And so if you're able to run with a slightly quicker turnover, then your feet are going to be on the ground for a shorter period of time, and there's going to be this sweet spot where you're going to have less stress on the body. You're going to be able to harness more of that energy and elasticity from your tendons and muscles and structures, and you're going to just be able to move with a little bit less work. And then there's also added bonuses of easier recovery. Like, I have run more volume than I ever have in the last few months leading up to this race, and I've been the least stiff and come out of my like 20-mile, 26-mile runs with like very little soreness and stiffness, which I've never experienced before. Granted, I am fitter than I have been in the past, building for races, so I know that's part of it, but every time I go for these long runs, I'm kind of surprised that I'm not like crippled the rest of the day, which is kind of what's happened to me in the past, just super sore. So just seeing that, it definitely allows me to recover better. And so really all of my training has been based on like an effort not a pace, not a heart rate. Of course, if you increase cadence, right, you're going to have slightly faster pace. They go hand in hand. And so a lot of my running has been slightly up tempo than just going slow and long for a long time. Because in theory, if you're running slower, your feet are on the ground longer and you're actually taking more load through your body and you're less efficient because you're getting less of that passive rebound energy from your body. And then there's more layers to that. You can train your body to be more springy and all those things, but that's not what we're talking about today. So, but anyway, I want to highlight this workout that I did, and it was built to mimic the Vermont 100K. This race has, I've been meaning to count, many small climbs. Nothing super long. You know, I think they're all going to be like 3 to 10 minute long climbs. So a lot of my longer hill workout efforts have been lots of variations of those timed runs. And then I'm changing my pace, sometimes during the climb, sometimes during the descent, and even within the climb. Usually trying to run down a little faster than just easy, or sometimes hard, because I need to get my quads ready to take a lot of downhill running. I've watched people do the 100K, the 100 mile, and then a similar Vermont 50 mile race on similar terrain, and people's quads just get destroyed because it's so much running downhill. This is a very runnable course. So the workout we focused on today was, you know, a variation of, you know, a nice long warm up, and then I started to mix up my effort, you know, going a little harder than race pace for, you know, 2 minutes, and then race pace, and then trying to scrub in that kind of like high aerobic zone. I finished these workouts not super tired, which is really nice. I feel like, but I also psychologically feel a lot tougher because I just ran up and down hills for 2 hours. And so when I get to race day, I'm going to be like trying to remember, like, you just ran up and down hills for 2 hours or maybe 3 hours, and you did great and you survived. So I think a lot of it is like a psychological boost as well. So I am 105 minutes into this workout run. I just finished my 5-minute efforts. Now I have 6 1-minute uphill at, like, you know, not moderate, a little faster. So getting a little uncomfortable, you know, a little bit more of a kick in my step, and then run back down easier. I do that 6 times. So that's next. All right, I don't have a stabilizer. Coming down from my last 1-minute interval. Now I think I have 5 minutes spinning it out on flatter stuff. So I just ran back down the trail for 5 minutes, or I guess it's a road. Beautiful Bartlett experimental forest. And so now I have 3 by 4 minutes uphill. The hill's like not that steep, kind of moderate to easy. I'm doing 1 minute of race pace, then 1 minute of 2 ticks faster. I do that twice in the 4 minutes. Back down, I do that 3 times. Legs are starting to get a little tired, for sure. It's pretty humid. And I think just the accumulation of everything is making my legs tired. So then this, and then I run back out to my car. I bet it's like 1.5 miles-ish. I don't know exactly how far it is. So yeah, I'm about 1.5 hours in, I think. So that should work out great for about a 2-hour run. I'm really excited to see how this translates to race day. I haven't had my full debrief with my coach yet on strategy, but, you know, right now my kind of like, you know, touch above easy pace, which will probably be my race pace, is like a little bit quicker than I think if I had just done lots of long, slow runs with some intervals in it, which is how I did my first training a few years ago, the last time I like really properly trained for an ultra. So I don't know, it's pretty interesting. I'm really excited. It's kind of an experiment, but it's slightly different than what you typically hear, but I think from a science standpoint, it totally makes sense, and I think my body really likes it. I get into that like sweet spot, and I also want to say, like, cadence is something you have to practice. It's like one of the skills of running. 4 years ago when I first started taking classes with Chloe is when I took a summer to really try and figure out cadence. And, I eased into it with runs, but then eventually I got to a point where I could just sort of like, I knew when I was in that sweet spot, it felt easy. You almost get that like flow feeling. And so when I jumped into this training program, I was already sort of ahead of the ball and knew what the cadence felt like. So I think that's an important thing to point out too. Tomorrow, you can't just all of a sudden go out and have good cadence for a long time. You have to train for it. But yeah, so we are like 4 days out from the race. Serious taper time. Unfortunately, Vermont had a really rough day yesterday. They had record-breaking flooding since that last hurricane that created so much damage. That was probably like 10 years ago, maybe more than that. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm sure there's been some flooding damage on the course, and I think the bigger problems are going to be access to aid stations because I think roads have been washed out. So giving all of them our thoughts and prayers and hoping that, if it can happen, but, we'll see what happens. It could be a variation of the Vermont 100, which is great too. So anyway, I just wanted to share about this workout because I've been really excited. I've really enjoyed the training, and I've been running distances and efforts in a way that I didn't think I ever could, so it's been really rewarding, and I'm really excited to see how it translates on race day. It's going to be really hard. I've never gone 100K, so yeah, see what happens.